What are macros or macronutrients? You're going to see most likely macros thrown around more than you will see the full macronutrients written out. But macros, what are they? They are the basic building blocks of food. It's the nutrients that are required by your body in large quantities, hence the macro. I'm sure you have also heard of micronutrients. Those are the small nutrients you need, vitamins, minerals, things like that. Macronutrients, those are the large nutrients that you need. Those are proteins, carbs, and fat. So you have your three main macros. They are essential for every single bodily function. We will get into more of what those are as we continue on here. But without one of them, something in your body will not function properly. So, and yes, again, it's mini podcast, but it's live. I'm watching the chat, so you got to bear with me while I try to balance all of these different things. A podcast by yourself is already difficult enough to just keep the time moving while you talk, blabber, and then to check in on everything else that's going on as well. It's very difficult, so bear with me if there's some pauses. I don't mean to stutter like that. I just have to catch up on what I've covered, what I have yet to cover, and who else is commenting. So macros make up the calories in the food that you eat. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is while I have been meeting with some of my clients, that is typically one of the first questions they have. What are macronutrients? What are those macros? What are you talking about? What do I need to track? I don't know what that is, or they don't understand it completely. They've seen the nutrition labels on their food, but they don't fully understand it. You see that big calorie number, and much beyond that, you may not understand what that label means. And so we want to break that down a little bit here. Make that nutrition label a little less intimidating and not look like nonsense, because I believe that's what it looks like to most people. I've been told it's nothing. Okay, there's a lot of information in there. So we'll start with protein. Why do we want to start with protein? Well, I believe that is the most critical macronutrient for you to be monitoring on a daily basis. Whether you track calories or not, or you track other macros, I believe you should be tracking your protein at a minimum every single day. That will help you hold on to the lean tissue that you have. As we age, as we go through life, perform different tasks, that lean tissue, that muscle, is extremely important, not only to performing the tasks, but also being able to live a long, healthy, happy life and spend that time that we want, that we're working for, the free time later on in life with our family. If we're old and decrepit, we're not going to be able to do that. So by maintaining the lean tissue that we have, we will better be able to live a happy, healthy life. Protein is the building block of all your tissue. It provides the essential amino acids for building and repairing the tissues in your bodies. There are essential amino acids and there are some non-essential amino acids, but all of them will be found in muscle. You need all of them to build muscle properly. You have different types of protein. You have animal and plant protein, and You cannot get all of the amino acids to build muscle from plant protein. There are, I believe, 2 missing from plant protein that are included in animal protein. So that is something to be or watch for when you have vegetarian diet. You are missing some of those amino acids, so it might be beneficial to add in an essential amino acid supplement. Something I do daily. I had, because of the injury I have, I want to make sure I provide my body as many vitamins, minerals, nutrients, amino acids that I can, so it has everything it needs to repair all my tissues. I have a lot of tissues that have undergone a lot of trauma lately, and it needs everything it can. On top of, I was continuing my workouts and everything else along with it. So I upped my protein intake over the last couple of months, as well as taking additional amino acid supplements just to make sure my body has everything it needs. Protein can also provide energy mainly when carbs or fat are not available. Your body will start to cannibalize itself or dip into turn protein into energy. That may be the only food you have available to you. My wife and I are actually watching, I don't know if anybody else has watched the series on the History Channel called Alone, but some of the diets that they maintain, it's strictly protein, some fat too, but mostly protein. And so their body ends up converting that protein into energy for them to be able to sustain their daily lives. It doesn't just build or repair tissue with that. It has to convert some of it to glucose to help fuel your body as well. Protein also helps support metabolism, and it plays a crucial role in helping maintain your immune system. Anybody got any questions so far? We've talked about macronutrients briefly, broken down protein a little bit. Then you've got different types of protein, looking to get those amino acids that your body needs to build and repair tissue. Let's move on to carbs. Carbs are your body's main energy source. As we talked about, or as I mentioned with protein, if your body is low or lacking in carbs or fat, it will dip into your protein in order to help fuel it. But your body is mainly looking for that carb source to fuel itself. It readily converts carbs into glucose, and that's transported to your muscles and the rest of your tissue to help it perform its everyday functions. You have 2 different types of carbs: simple carbs and complex carbs. Your simple carbs are your sugars. They break down very easily, readily used by your body. Complex carbs, those are your starches, fibers. If you look at your nutrition label under carbs, you will see soluble and insoluble fiber. Those are both different types of fiber. One helps take up moisture as it's slightly broken down, and it helps turn it gives your body something to put out. Insoluble fiber just doesn't get broken down, but it will get carried through your digestive system and just helps get some of the junk out of there. Carnivore diets. Alier asked, carnivore diets, are they realistic? Is it good to be taking in all of that protein and leave out the carbs and fats? Well, with a carnivore diet, you are still getting fats. You're going to be getting lots of saturated and or unsaturated fats. I wouldn't recommend. I, I don't necessarily like the carnivore diet just because you are eliminating that carb source from your body. But as I've mentioned, your body can convert carb or protein and fat into an energy source as well. You may go through a period where your body is kind of transitioning those sources of energy around and you'll feel like crap for a while, but if you get through that, it may be a realistic diet for you. I Red meats tend to be higher in saturated fat. You are only supposed to consume 10% of your diet in saturated fats. So 10% of your daily caloric value should be consumed by saturated fats. So if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, no more than 200 calories a day should be coming from saturated fat. And at 9 calories per gram of fat, that's 22 grams of saturated fats per day. That's probably one serving of red meat. So if you balance your protein sources, I'm sure you could have a very healthy and successful carnivore diet. If you don't, it may not be as healthy for you. And ultimately, my advice is the best diet is the diet that works for you. So, yeah, there may be benefits to the carnivore diet, but make sure you're balancing your protein sources. And, yeah, ultimately, if it works for you, awesome. That's the best. It's exactly what we're looking for. So we had just talked about carbs. They come in two forms, simple and complex, sugars and starches. We talked about soluble and insoluble fiber. Carbs, are essential for proper brain function and mental clarity. Kind of like what I was talking about with the carnivore diet. Your body can utilize other sources for energy, but it's not used to it, it's not built for it, so it has to go through a transition period. If you can't handle that, you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know how to deal with it, it could be very what's the word I'm looking for, difficult to navigate, I guess. Just be hard. Skittles diet, no, I don't think a Skittles diet will work. Sugar, you won't make it very long on sugar. You'll run really far, but I don't think you'll do much else. Carbs are then anything extra is stored later for energy, stored in the muscles and liver as glycogen for later use. Fats. Moving on to fats now. Fats are your energy reserve, and they play a crucial role in hormone production and regulation. And I bring that up first because I think that is something that is glazed over all too often in health. You see low fat everywhere in the grocery store when you go and you're sorting through the shelves looking for food. Everything says low fat because it was driven into our skulls for decades that fat is the enemy. We need to eliminate fat. Oh, eggs. Oh, red meat. Oh, this, that. Fat is the devil. Made me think of the water boy. Fat is the devil. So yeah, everything converted to low fat. So our diets have been adjusted, and yeah, we now have lower levels of fat in our diet. Well, that does not help our body's production of testosterone and estrogen. And That's very important. Not only that, the low fat trend tended to amplify the amount of sugars that were added. So you remove the fat from a food, makes it taste like crap. So you have to make it taste better so people actually want to eat your crap food, so you add sugar back in. And that's how they offset that. So, and yes, that also reduced your overall calories, because fat is more dense than carbs or protein. We'll get into more of that in a minute. So yeah, they could reduce the calories, make it look healthier, but were they? So should you follow nutrition facts serving sizes to a T when you're just starting out? I don't necessarily think you should follow the serving size. Um, if and that is also based on a 2,000 calorie diet, and that is the amount that a typical serving for a person should be, I think, is what it is. What you should do is analyze what your overall daily caloric intake should be, and there's plenty of formulas out there if you want to go look it up, or shoot me a message and I can get you some numbers. But you need to find what that daily caloric intake should be, and then base the amount of food you need to consume on how many calories you need to intake overall for the day, where you're at in the day. Is it morning, lunchtime, dinner time, snack time, whatever? How many calories do you have left? How many grams of protein, carbs, fat? Like, no, I don't believe a serving size should be followed. It should just be used as a guide for how much food you are consuming. That way you can track what it is you're consuming. It's just a conversion factor, essentially, for the food that you actually eat. So fats, they're your energy reserve, and they play a crucial role in hormone production and regulation. There are also some, they help with nutrient absorption. There are fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, D, E, and K can only be absorbed by your body with fats. So that is something else to be aware of. If you switch to a diet where you're not taking in any fat or as much fat, you may also need to be watching some of these other vitamins, because those may be lacking as well. Since your body doesn't have the ability to absorb it as well, your levels may start dipping, may start affecting other areas of your health as well. There's so much of this stuff that is tied together that people don't realize when they start tweaking around things or playing with other things, and I don't feel good over here now or whatever, and you're not sure why. A lot of times it's because of our diet. Something has changed in our diet, or we ate a food that doesn't necessarily agree with us, or something. Our bodies are very, very interesting things. Fats are also essential for building and maintaining the structures of all cells in your body. We need fats in our life. Cholesterol is also important. Something else I've learned recently. Cholesterol is not bad. We very much need cholesterol in our life. Fats as well. So we talked about calories briefly. Macros are what make up the calories in your food. Each one of the macronutrients also has a caloric value. Now, I mentioned fats are more dense than proteins and carbs. And those have 9 calories per gram. Now, we talked about that a little bit when I was mentioning saturated fats in the carnivore diet. But yes, there are 9 calories per gram of fat. Protein, and carbs are both the same, and those come in at 4 calories per gram. So, one thing to look for if you are trying to gain weight or lose weight is, are there any easy ways to add or reduce your fats? Where's your fat level at? You should be consuming 0.5-ish grams of fat per pound of body weight per day. So are you around that at least? As long as you are, then be looking at where the rest of it fits in. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm trying to go through my notes, see if there's anything I'm missing. Talked about a lot tonight. Talked about macros, what they are, macronutrients. It's what makes up the calories in your food. Got protein, carbs, and fat. Fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbs and protein have 4 calories per gram. Gluten is in carbs. Yes, that is the only play. Gluten is wheat. So that is unrefined, it's a starch. I guess it's still a starch, even refined, but it turns into a more simple carb if it's refined. That's why they tell you to eat like wheat bread. The less refined the grain, the better. It's a more complex carb at that point. Brown rice, another example of it. The less refined something is, the more complex of a carb it is. More refined gets into that more simple side. That's going to spike insulin levels, and that's a whole nother conversation. Who says? Your body should take in whatever it is that gets along with it. I think I have, I don't know if I necessarily have a gluten intolerance. I think it's a slight thing, or I was just eating way too much bread. But I mean, I had a sandwich every day for like 5 or 6 years, plus other bread and pasta, and I think I was just eating too much bread, and it caught up with me, and I've tried to cut it out, and it just seemed to feel better. The more bread I cut out, or the more wheat I cut out, but I still enjoy pasta and breads, whatever. Pastries. Not really anything necessarily our body shouldn't have. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's ecosystem inside their body is different. We've all got different backgrounds. We come from different areas. I mean, our heritage and everything has stuff to do with what's going on inside of us. So grains and the like have been around for a long, long time. I don't think it's necessarily all bad. So protein, we talked, those are the building blocks of the tissues in your body. Carbs, those are your main energy source. Fats, it's your energy reserve and hormone production. Got any other questions? Otherwise, I think I will wrap it up there for the night. I do appreciate people hanging out, chatting. Alier, good to see you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap her up for the night. Again, appreciate you guys all hanging out. Glad to be back. Excited to carry this on. Be looking for more live streams. Like I said, we have social media accounts. Make sure you follow us over there. I will be doing more live streams, bouncing around. I'm starting to get some of this stuff figured out. So want to start getting on, interacting with you guys a little bit more and more and more. So, yeah. Check us out. The Mapes Mindset, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. We're there. YouTube, click that little like button below. Subscribe. We appreciate it. It helps us so very much. Not only helps us get the message out, but helps keep us going. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I'm helping some of you guys out too. It's been a long journey for me to learn a lot of this stuff, and if I can help just one person, it was all worth it. So again, thanks again for hanging out. Appreciate it. Take care.